Now we will discuss about another topic, that is your moving coil galvanometer, or that is also known as in short for MCG, moving coil galvanometer, MCG. So first we will discuss what is the moving coil galvanometer do in an electric circuit. Next, what is its principle, on what principle it is based. Next, construction of the moving coil galvanometer. Then the theory, how we will find and what is the, how the use is, the use of the galvanometer is based on what formula, right? So I will discuss one by one. First is the MCG, moving coil galvanometer. Now, before we discuss this moving coil galvanometer, let me recall, so far we have read about that when a coil, current carrying coil is placed in a uniform magnetic field, a torque acts on the coil and the torque rotates the coil and the torque rotates the coil. That so far we know. On that principle, this moving coil galvanometer is based. So first we can say the MCG, the moving coil galvanometer is, or this galvanometer is used, a galvanometer, that is the galvanometer. There are types of galvanometer there. It is a moving coil, deadbeat type galvanometer. There are so many are there in galvanometers. A galvanometer, simply a galvanometer is used to detect and measure the current in an electrical circuit. Generally, it is used to detect, it is used to detect, means no, detect and measure small current in an electrical circuit. It is used to detect and measure small current in an electrical circuit. With some modification, it can also use the potential difference of the circuit. It can also use to detect the potential difference of the circuit also, with some modification, right? But generally, it is used to detect and measure the small current in an electric circuit. Then there is a question comes in your mind that an ammeter can also do that. Yes, but the ammeter cannot detect. It can measure. A very small currents cannot be measured by the ammeters, but that can be measured by a galvanometer. Clear? Then this is the use. How it is what is the use of the galvanometer, right? So the moving coil galvanometer, a galvanometer is used to detect and measure the small current in an electrical circuit. Next, on what principle it is based? The principle is that, on what principle? If it is a long question, you will write step by step like this. What is the principle? It is based on the principle that, it is based on the principle that, it is based on the principle that when a current carrying coil is placed in a uniform magnetic field, a torque acts on the coil, a current carrying coil placed in a uniform magnetic field. It is based on the principle that when a current carrying coil is placed in a uniform magnetic field, it experiences a torque, or a torque acts on the coil. That is the principle. Then we will go to the important part is the construction. Now we will go to the construction. Okay. So let me write the construction. Now this is the construction of the moving coil galvanometer MCG. This is the construction of a moving coil galvanometer. Now you see here, I will discuss one by one what I have drawn here. I have drawn the figure. It consists of a coil. It consists of a coil having number of turns. Now so many number of turns. It consists of a coil C. So I can say C is the, this one is the coil. It consists of a coil, right? It is wound on a non-metallic frame. The coil is wound on a non-metallic frame. In a rectangular shape I have drawn. You can take also a circular coil also. Okay. So it consists of a coil wound on a non-metallic frame. First one. Then the coil is suspended between, this coil is suspended. It is suspended between two magnetic poles. Two magnetic poles, North Pole and South Pole. In between two magnetic poles, which are cylindrical. These magnetic poles are not a simple magnetic pole, these are cylindrical. That's why I have shown like this. These are the magnetic poles. The coil is on a metallic frame suspended between two cylindrical magnetic poles. What is the meaning of these cylindrical magnetic poles? The cylindrical, when we will discuss about the theory part, the cylindrical magnetic poles gives you a radial magnetic field. It will give you a radial magnetic field. The cylindrical pole, the poles are taken cylindrical because it will give you a radial magnetic field. A radial magnetic field means the magnetic field and the coil, normal to the coil and the magnetic field, they are mutually perpendicular, or the plane of the coil is parallel to the magnetic field. That is called radial magnetic field. To get that radial magnetic field, the poles are cylindrical. Clear? Next part. So then the other one is the coil is suspended with a movable torsion head. This coil, one end of the coil is attached to, this is called as the torsion head. This is the torsion head. One end of the coil is attached to a torsion head by the wire, this one, the red line, by a wire with the material is phosphor bronze wire, by means of a phosphor bronze wire. One end of the coil, there are two ends of the coil. One end of the coil is connected to the torsion head. This one is the torsion head. H by this wire is the phosphor bronze wire. And a mirror is attached, and a mirror is attached to the wire. So this one is the mirror. This is a mirror. A mirror is attached like this. The other end of the coil, this is the other end. The other end of the coil is connected to a spring. This is the spring. Right outside. So this is connected to a spring. The other end of the wire is connected to a spring. Clear? Now, why? This end of the wire is this one end of the wire is connected to the torsion head by the material phosphor bronze, by a phosphor bronze wire. Why? Why phosphor bronze is chosen? Because phosphor bronze is a material whose temperature coefficient of resistance is very low. Means the current flows in this phosphor bronze because through this wire the current can flow through the coil. The coil take the current through this wire because it is connected to externally. So when the current flows, its conductivity naturally is more, and also its temperature coefficient is also low. Means temperature more, current flow is more, conductivity is more, and it has a low temperature coefficient. Means its resistance does not vary with rise or fall in temperature. With the change in temperature, its conductivity or resistance does not change. Clear? And also it is a non-magnetic. Phosphor bronze is a non-magnetic, and also it has a more tensile strength. more tensile strength. Phosphor bronze has more tensile strength. You can write these points while writing the long question. Clear? Then this end is connected to a mirror. Okay. Then to the other. Next, the end. This end is connected to a terminal T1 through which the external current can pass, and the other end is connected to the terminal T2 through a spring. Right? Clear? Then let's see what is the use of this string to the other end? What is the use of the string to this other end? Get an idea that when the current flows through this coil, it is in a magnetic field. There are two poles, it gives a magnetic field. Then the coil will rotate. When the coil rotates, the spring tries to come or make the coil in its restoring position. The coil makes it into restoring position. Okay. So the coil gives this coil or the spring. The spring gives you the restoring torque. Okay. Then the most important one, this one, that has this part. It is a iron core. A iron core is placed. A soft iron. This is a soft iron. Is placed in the core of the coil. A soft iron is placed in the core of the coil, so that it does not touch to the frame. Nowhere it touches the frame. A soft iron core is placed in the coil, and such that it does not change any part of the coil. So this is about the construction. Okay. Clear? So these are the different parts. Okay. Within the frame of the coil. So these are the constructions. So let me again, I will show in within 1 minute that there are two. There is a coil. One end of the coil is connected to the torsion head through the phosphor bronze wire, and a mirror is attached. That one end is connected to the external terminal T1. Here, the other end of the coil is connected to a string to the other end terminal T2. Here, there are two magnetic poles which are cylindrical shape to make the magnetic field radial. There is a this is the coil. Then there is a soft iron core is placed in the metallic frame, inside the metallic frame, so that it does not touch to any part of the frame. Clear? Next. So this is about the construction part. You have to write this construction. Why these materials are phosphor bronze? Why you are using phosphor bronze? Because it has low temperature coefficient. It is non-magnetic, means it is not influenced by the magnetic field, and also it has conductivity is more, and these are having high, but the tensile strength is more, means more force is applied or more stress is applied, then it will not break. That the tensile strength is more. Clear? And why the poles are made cylindrical? To make the magnetic field radial, means always the magnetic field is in the plane of the coil. Right? Clear? So this is about the construction part. Then we will go to the theory on what working principle, and what working formula this works, the moving coil galvanometer works. Let me write. Now let us consider the magnetic poles are so placed, so this will give you magnetic field between the north and south pole. Let B is the magnetic field. So let me write the formula again. Right? So when these are the poles, it gives a magnetic field B. Let A be the area of the coil, and N be the number of turns. And let it is connected to the terminals 2 and T2, so the current flows through this coil like this. So let the current is coming, and this is about the current is I, and the magnetic field is B. I current flows, and the magnetic field is B, having area A and number of turns N. Then when the current carrying coil is placed in the magnetic field, it experiences a torque. Let the torque is called deflecting torque. Means the torque will try to rotate the coil. Right? So that's why the deflecting torque. So then current flows, the deflecting torque acting on the loop or coil. The deflecting torque acting on the loop is tau deflecting torque. So let me write this as tau deflecting. Tau d is equal to number of turns let n, current is I, area is A, B is the magnetic field, NIAB sin theta. But as the magnetic field is radial. Why radial? Because this is the cylindrical and there is a soft iron, means when you take the cross section, I will draw this one, what it looks like. When you take the cross section, then what it will looks. When the poles are spherical like this, north pole and there is a south pole, and this is the cylindrical. Now if you make that, so it will looks like this. This is the soft iron core. When you take the cross section, this is the soft iron core. Then the magnetic field will be radial, means it will be like this. North pole will come to the north pole, right? It is from north toward the south, so it goes to south, south, south. So the field is always in the plane of the frame. So as the magnetic field is radial, theta is equal to 90. So the deflecting torque tau d is equal to NIAB. That is equation 1. Clear? That is the deflecting torque. Clear? Now, then we will go to this deflecting torque. Next we will get what? Okay, so this is your equation number 1. Then next, at the other end, this end, because of the current, the coil deflect, so the deflecting torque is NIAB, that is the principle. But the other end is connected to a spring. So the spring, when the coil deflect, the spring also twist. The spring, other end is connected, so the spring is like this, it also twist like this, it is twist. When the spring twist, in the spring there will be a restoring torque. So the restoring torque, if the coil twists the spring in this direction, the restoring torque will be opposite. So the restoring torque acts on the coil, which tries to keep the coil in the restoring position, right? So the restoring torque, because of the twist, the restoring torque acts on the coil, is given by tau r. Let the restoring torque tau r. For restoring tau r, restoring torque equal to C into theta. What is the C? C is called as the twist, the torque, or you can say it is the restoring torque per unit twist. Restoring torque per unit twist. This is a constant, restoring torque per unit twist, and theta is the angle of deflection, okay, for that theta is the angle of deflection. So this is the case like your twist or rotating of a spring. Already you know, when you take a spring, when a force is attached and if the spring elongated lengthwise, that is the linear motion of the spring, then already you know that the force acting on this one F is equal to Kx. The restoring force on a spring is equal to linear motion K into X. K is the force constant, X is the linear displacement. But here the spring is rotating, so in place of X there will be a rotation. angular displacement theta, so angle of deflection, and in place of k, force constant, there is the restoring torque per unit twist. That is the difference. Because it is a rotational motion, so this is tau r is equal to c theta. Clear? Now, this is the case. Okay. Then, so this is equation number 2. The equation number 2. Now, equating equation 1 and 2, because how much is the deflecting torque, that much is the restoring torque. So, equating equation 1 and 2. Equating equation 1 and 2. On the equilibrium case, you can write for equilibrium of the coil, for equilibrium of the coil, tau deflecting torque is equal to tau r. NIAB is equal to c theta. NIAB equal to c theta under equilibrium. Okay, so we can write this is equal to I is equal to c by NAB into theta, or I is equal to k theta, where this k is equal to c by NAB, which is again a constant for a galvanometer. This is called as the current reduction factor, or this is also called as the, or galvanometer constant. This is the K, and this is the formula. And if this is a constant, then from this equation you can say I is proportional to theta. If the current is proportional to theta, that is the deflection. Theta is the deflection. How much it deflects? How much the spring deflects according to the coil deflects. And this deflection can be noted by a linear scale placed over the mirror. Now this is the construction part. Then in the calculation part, what we will do? Here the theory says this one. Then the current flows in this one here. Now the coil deflects. The torque tries to keep that in that position. So once it deflects means the current I can be measured as how much is the current? That is a constant, which is the galvanometer constant, that is known proportional to theta. So if the theta means the coil deflect some angle, then the mirror also rotate, because according to the coil it is connected to the phosphor bronze wire through the torsion head. So the coil rotates means the mirror also rotates. And if you place a linear scale in front of the mirror, then the light incident on the mirror is reflected on the linear scale. If the coil deflects, the mirror deflects means the spot, the reflecting spot, then the light incident, the reflecting spot on the linear scale, that also deflects. By measuring that deflects, how much it gets deflect on the linear scale, how much it gets deflect on the linear scale, theta, you can measure the current. Okay, and the current is measured. So this is the deflection. Okay, so we can write I is proportional to theta, which can be measured by using a linear scale. Okay, so this is about the construction of the moving coil. Okay, and another thing, remember that these poles produce a magnetic field in the coil, and whole this system is enclosed in a case, in a non-metallic and in a insulating case, right? The whole system is enclosed in a insulating case. Why? Case means there is no external parameters like external conditions like air or other things cannot be disturbed the coil. If it is in the open door, if it is not enclosed in the case, non-metallic frame, then if air blows, then the coil also deflects, but that is not because of current, and you can know that, detect the deflection by the air. That is not required. We need the current. So that is enclosed in a case. The other thing is that magnet poles are inside that case, which are, the frame is in between these, that it will produce a strong magnetic field which is much greater than the Earth's magnetic field, because there is also Earth's magnetic field is there. So the Earth magnetic field also deflect or also disturb the whole apparatus. Then you will not get the same B here. This B is the magnetic field produced by this. The Earth magnetic field influence is neglected. So this is the theory part of your moving coil galvanometer. Next we will go to the other part is what is the figure of merit of this moving coil galvanometer. So let me write what is the figure of merit of this moving coil galvanometer. Moving coil galvanometer. So there is also a question is that what is the figure of merit? Figure of merit. Figure of merit. Figure of merit of moving coil galvanometer. What is the figure of merit? The figure of merit is defined as the amount of, it is defined as the amount of current. It is defined as the amount of current. This is defined as the amount of current producing. Amount of current producing means what is the current? The current flows in the coil. So amount of current producing one scale deflection. Producing one scale or unit scale deflection. One scale deflection. I is equal to k theta. From that we are getting the figure of merit. One scale deflection in the galvanometer. In the galvanometer. In the galvanometer. Right? In the galvanometer. So here you can write, this is the defined as the amount of current, the current divided by the unit deflection. Current divided by the deflection is called as the figure of merit. Figure of, let me write in short form, or you can write figure of merit. So figure of merit, if I ask what is the figure of merit of the galvanometer, moving coil galvanometer? Current per deflection. This is the current per deflection. Here, this is also called as the figure of merit. Next, we will go to the sensitivity of the galvanometer. Sensitivity means up to what current it flows, so that it will show with a small current. If the galvanometer shows more deflection, so it is more sensitive. The galvanometer is more sensitive. Okay, that is called as the sensitivity of galvanometer. Okay. Now come to the sensitivity of a galvanometer. So what is the sensitivity? A galvanometer is more sensitive if it gives a large deflection with a small current flows through, right? So we can say galvanometer is said to be sensitive if a galvanometer is said to be sensitive. Is said to be sensitive. Sensitive if a galvanometer is said to be sensitive if a small current flows through it. If a small current flows through it, produces a large deflection. It produces a large deflection. Clear? It produces that, it is more sensitive. Then is more deflection or a large deflection, right? Then the sensitivity of the galvanometer are two sensitivity. One is called current sensitivity and the voltage sensitivity. First one is the current sensitivity. What is the current sensitivity of a galvanometer? Current sensitivity. What is this current sensitivity of a galvanometer? The current sensitivity of a galvanometer is defined as the deflection produced in the galvanometer per unit current flowing through it. Deflection produced in the galvanometer. Deflection produced in the galvanometer per unit current. Per unit current. That is called current sensitivity. So the current sensitivity of the galvanometer is the deflection produced in the galvanometer, defined as the deflection produced in the galvanometer per unit current flows through it. Unit current flows through it, or unit current flowing through it. Flowing through it. Then I can write this current in short form. I can write CS is equal to the current sensitivity equal to the deflection is theta produced per unit current, theta by I. Then already you know that I is equal to K or C by NAB into theta. Already know that. I is equal to C by NAB theta. Then if you put that, this is equal to theta by I is equal to C theta divided by NAB. Theta theta get cancelled. So the current sensitivity is equal to NAB by C. That is the current sensitivity. That is called as the current sensitivity. And there is a question comes in your mind that how can you increase the current sensitivity of a galvanometer? Means how can you make the deflection in the galvanometer is more with a small current? That is the with a small current. How can you make the deflection more? By increasing N, by increasing number of turns. But that is not possible. If you increase more number of turns, the galvanometer becomes more bulk. Bulk means it is more heavier. You cannot do that also. Or you can also increasing the area. By increasing the area of the coil, means if you make the area also very large, the coil area is very large, means you need a very large coil. Again the galvanometer size becomes more. But by increasing the magnetic field, if you make heavy magnets, magnetic field produced by the two poles, if the strength of the magnetic field is increased, then this current sensitivity also increases. And also by decreasing the galvanometer constant, by decreasing the galvanometer constant, we can increase the current sensitivity. Clear? Then next we will go to the voltage sensitivity. Then we will go to the voltage sensitivity of the galvanometer. Next we will go to the voltage sensitivity of the galvanometer. That is voltage sensitivity. Then the voltage sensitivity of the galvanometer, voltage sensitivity of the galvanometer. What is this voltage sensitivity? Like your current sensitivity, it is defined as the deflection produced in the galvanometer. It is defined as the deflection produced in the galvanometer. It is a deflection produced in the galvanometer per unit voltage. Per unit voltage. Per unit voltage difference applied per unit voltage applied per unit voltage difference applied through it between the two terminals T1 and T2. If you apply unit voltage difference, then how much is the deflection? That is the per unit voltage applied through it or to it, right? Then we can write this is equal to the voltage sensitivity Vs. Voltage sensitivity is equal to deflection theta per B. Then as you know, B is equal to R is the resistance of the coil. R is the resistance of the coil through the current flows of the galvanometer. Then theta B is equal to IR. So already you know that theta and I. So you can put that theta by, what is I already know? I is equal to C theta by NAB into R. This R theta get cancelled. So I can write voltage sensitivity is equal to NAB by CR. R is the resistance of the coil. R is the resistance of the coil. Here R is the resistance of the coil. Resistance of the coil. Clear? R is the resistance of the coil. Then how can you decrease again the formula? The voltage sensitivity how will increase? By increasing number of turns, area of the coil, magnetic field, the galvanometer constant, or by increasing the by decreasing the resistance. By decreasing the resistance. Clear? By decreasing R, increasing all these factors NAB and decreasing C and R, you can make the more voltage sensitivity. Clear? So these are the sensitivity of the galvanometers. Okay. Then we will go to the uses of the galvanometer. What are the uses? Where we are used, already you know that it is used to measure the small currents, right? Detect and measure the small currents. So if I ask you, it is used to detect electric current in the circuit. It is used to detect the small electric current in the circuit. Okay. Then already you see your Wheatstone bridge experiment. In the Wheatstone bridge experiment, you are using a galvanometer in the central arm, right? So that is the use, right? Then it can be converted to an ammeter and also voltmeter. A galvanometer, by small modifications, it can also be used as an ammeter. Means you can measure large currents by using the ammeters. Also measure the current. It also measures the large current, so it can be used as an ammeter, and also it can be used as a galvanometer. Voltmeter, right? By with some modification, and it is used as a ohm meter. It is also used as an ohm meter. Resistance. Ohm is the resistance. So it is also used as the ohm meter. Right? These are the uses of the galvanometer. Okay. Then we will go to the what are the advantages? What are the advantages of this galvanometer? What are the advantages? The advantages are that it can be made extremely sensitive. It can be made extremely sensitive so that even a small electric current give a deflection. It can be used more sensitive because I is equal to k theta, galvanometer constant, into theta. So whatever may be a small rise in theta, you will get a deflection if the k value is very large. So the k value is large depending upon the how we will construct the galvanometer, right? So already you know the constant factor, that is the galvanometer constant, how we can increase the galvanometer constant. Okay, it can be made extremely sensitive. So I will write on it. Can be made extremely sensitive. Means it give a deflection, large deflection with a small current. Okay. Then if the deflection here in this moving coil galvanometer, the deflection I is proportional to theta. And this theta can be noted by using simply a linear scale. No need to use any devices, all these things. In front of the galvanometer, you place a linear scale. The mirror, the light incident on the mirror, it deflect on the linear scale. When the current flows, the coil deflects, means on the linear scale, the spot is shown in the linear scale. The spot will displaced on the linear scale. By calculating that, you can measure, right? So we can say that the deflection of the coil galvanometer is here. So a linear scale can be used. A linear scale is used to measure the deflection. A linear scale can be used to measure the deflection. Clear? Then it is a deadbeat type galvanometer. So it is a deadbeat type galvanometer. Deadbeat type galvanometer. It is a deadbeat type galvanometer. Then the question arises in your mind, what is the deadbeat type galvanometer? The deadbeat type galvanometer means, you remember this thing, which is that when a steady deflection is obtained. A steady deflection, means constant deflection, you will always obtain. A steady deflection is obtained whether the oscillations of the coil, without the oscillation of the coil, right? So that is the deadbeat type galvanometer. So what is this deadbeat type of galvanometer? The steady deflection is obtained. Steady deflection is obtained. The steady deflection is obtained. Deadbeat type galvanometer. Steady deflection is obtained. The steady deflection is obtained without a steady deflection is obtained without the oscillation of the coil. Oscillation of the coil. That is deadbeat type galvanometer. The coil is not oscillating, it is deflecting. Its position is deflecting. So that is a deadbeat type galvanometer. If the coil is oscillating, then it is again created more difficulty. So it is a deadbeat type of galvanometer. Okay. So these are the uses. Or also, and as the magnetic field, and again another you can say that the magnetic field is so strong. The magnetic field is so strong that it is not influenced. It is not influenced by Earth's magnetism, by Earth's magnetic field, or by Earth's magnetic field. It is not influenced by Earth's magnetic field. Okay. So these are the advantages of a moving coil galvanometer. Okay, students, go through the written material what is provided, and go through that, and go through this video. And this is a long question. What you will write in this, I have discussed step by step. So with that, you can approach the question if it is a long question asked in your exams. Okay. So this is the a moving coil galvanometer. Clear? Thank you.